Welcome to the D- Diaries, Episode 23, Voting 2026, Style Why Osama bin Laden May Have Won, by Jim Jones. When the plane struck on September 11th, the damage was immediate, visible, and devastating. But the real objective behind the September 11th attacks was never just the destruction of buildings. Led by Osama bin Laden and carried out by al-Qaeda, the attacks were designed to provoke us. To pull the United States into long wars, and more importantly, to test whether a nation could be shaken from the inside. Not just through fear, but through division, distraction, and exhaustion over time. And if you step back and look at where we are today, it raises an uncomfortable question that most people would rather not ask out loud. Not whether America was attacked, but whether in some ways that matter more, bin Laden may have gotten exactly what he wanted. The founders' vision for elections was rooted in a simple but demanding idea. Keep power close to the people and make it hard for that power to be abused. They designed a system where representatives in the House of Representatives would face voters frequently, while the Senate would provide stability with longer staggered terms. Lawmakers were not meant to be permanent rulers or career politicians, but temporary representatives who returned to their communities and stayed grounded in the people they served. At the same time, the system was intentionally built to slow things down. Checks and balances, divided powers, and layered elections were all designed to make passing laws difficult unless there was broad agreement. The goal was not efficiency. The goal was restraint, to protect the country from government overreach and to ensure that freedom was preserved by limiting how easily power could expand. Election season is here. Yes, it seems like yesterday that we went to the polls. I have to admit I hate elections. They are confusing. We no longer look for the best candidate. We pull for a party or a color. Voting districts have been perverted by gerrymandering, the practice of drawing voting district lines in a way that gives one political party an advantage over another. This does not represent your community. It gives political parties the ability to rule over it. Everything in politics seems to be about psychological warfare, fear, and who has the loudest voice seems to get the clicks, the attention, and the votes. Last year, Virginia voted for Abigail Spanberger, a former CIA officer and suburban congresswoman. She ran as a Democratic moderate. On day one, she moved quickly to govern like a hard-left ideologue, signing day one orders that reversed tough-on-crime and immigration policies, revived aggressive DEI programs, and put activist allies in charge of rewriting state rules. Behind her, a Democratic legislature approved a series of measures set to go into effect on July 1st. These include new and higher taxes and fees, as well as expanded social welfare and record-sealing programs. The package also layers on sweeping gun control and labor measures that critics say will squeeze taxpayers and hamstring police. At the same time, additional laws are being worked that could make some gun owners criminals overnight and tilt the system toward offenders at the expense of police and victims. To many Virginians who thought they were voting for a centrist manager rather than a crusader, the Commonwealth now looks determined to out-California California. Buyer beware. Last week, many of the Democrats who are on the short list for the 2028 presidential race took the stage at the National Action Network convention led by Al Sharpton. The event was supposed to be a forum on policy, but looked more like an early presidential audition. Big names showed up, gave speeches, and positioned themselves in front of a key voting bloc, and if you were listening closely, you probably noticed something. They only talked about Donald Trump. Not policy or the direction of the country, but what voters should fear, with very little said about how they would actually lead or improve things. That's not an accident. Events like this are not designed to explain policy. They are designed to test messages, build support, and shape perception. In other words, long before you ever cast a vote, the campaign has already started, and what you are seeing is not leadership yet, it's positioning. It has been leaked that the powers that be actually are running campaigns more like American Idol than an individual's values. They scout for looks, the ability to follow, and psychological propaganda, not substance. Personally, I would love it if we ran our elections like American Idol. We could watch about 10 episodes and America could vote someone off every night and the winner wins. Elections have always been spicy. Most people don't even know when, where, who, or what to vote for. We spend years complaining but won't take a few minutes to understand short or long-range goals for a community. Today's news and elections only talk about what happened in a 24-hour news cycle. We listen to politicians, social media, and the media's talking heads preaching fear and predictions like some pop culture prophets, but when they are wrong, they never saying sorry, they just go on to their next prophecy and we listen. There is an old story about Davy Crockett. After being known as one of America's greatest frontiersmen, he became a congressman for Tennessee. During one of his re-election bids, he came back to Tennessee to campaign. The story goes that Davy was walking down a road and saw a farmer. He went to the man and introduced himself. The farmer said, "Sir, I know who you are, and if you are here for my vote, you will not get it." Davy inquired further by asking him why. The man replied, "I understand there was a fire in Washington and Congress approved funding to help them out." Crockett replied, "It was terrible. It wiped out almost all of Georgetown. You could see it from the Capitol, so we did vote to help them rebuild." The man said, "Sir, that is not your money to give out as charity. That is the people's money, and even for a terrible event, this shows either you do not understand the Constitution or you just disregarded it. Either way, you will not get my vote." Though he first backed Andrew Jackson and was broadly seen as part of the Jacksonian camp, Crockett eventually broke with the president over land policy and, most dramatically, Jackson's Indian Removal Act, becoming one of the few Tennessee congressmen to oppose Jackson. Jackson ran one of his men against Crockett, and pro-Jackson newspapers started pounding the war drums against Crockett. He lost his seat in 1831, briefly returned, then was beaten again in 1835 by a Jackson supporter. When he returned to Tennessee, it is reported he said, "You may all go to hell and I will go to Texas." He died the next year at the Alamo. People ask, how did we get here? It's simple, the Dodge/Chrysler Caravan. In the 1980s, the Dodge/Chrysler car company was bankrupt. They brought in a new CEO, Lee Iacocca, the father of the Ford Mustang, and he helped create new cars. One was the Caravan, a roomy minivan with sliding doors, easy storage, and loaded with cup holders. Families traveled more, kids' sports became more organized, and drive-through culture exploded. The car was a natural fit for the modern 80s family. This boxy little workhorse quietly rewired American family life, and Lee Iacocca sold it straight to suburban moms. By the early 1990s, those minivans had become rolling symbols of a new kind of voter, middle-class white women hauling kids to games and go to PTA meetings, organizing through groups like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and realizing they could influence school boards, police chiefs, and eventually Congress. Pollsters and pundits branded them soccer moms, and Bill Clinton's 1996 re-election operation made a point of targeting these women as a decisive swing bloc, framing his message around safety, schools, and family economics instead of abstract ideology. That approach helped lock in the idea of organized suburban moms as one of the most potent political forces in American life. A force that is, if anything, even more mobilized today. Look at any modern protest, social movement, or anti-Second Amendment group and you will see they are still a political force. Today we face a new and unknown force, and it is not good. This is the first election where AI is in everyone's pocket. Gone are the days of shaking hands or kissing babies. In just a few minutes, anyone can create almost anything that looks real and push it into a viral, real-life-looking event. Just this week, Americans scrolling their feeds have watched a mostly imaginary war filled with videos and misinformation. Tehran-aligned accounts flooded X and TikTok with AI-generated Iran war footage, fake satellite images, and miscaptioned clips, while others mixed real and fabricated Trump images. We even saw influencers pushing hoax videos claiming the Artemis II mission itself was fake. Then there was a very clean video of a U.S. Navy ship ramming a U.S. submarine in the Strait of Hormuz, complete with ship names. That collision did happen, but it was in 1958 in the Pacific. New footage, old story, wrong century. Roughly 60% of the most viral posts about Iran came from accounts outside the United States, with foreign operators racking up more views than US-based users. Iranian, Russian, and Chinese-linked accounts were all actively working to sow discord within the United States. The message is simple. Even your local election is not really local anymore, because our enemies know our divisions. Wealthy groups hire influencers to pound local social media sites just to kick up the dust in a community, and then they move on to the next one. They don't care what side of the fence you are on. They just need a fence, and they need us on the side of discontent, because everyone knows a divided family, community, or nation is unhealthy, incomplete, and eventually doomed. Voting is like a bad roller coaster ride. One year you're hearing about the president, the next year it's Congress, then something called a primary shows up, and somewhere in between there's a special election nobody told you about. It's no surprise a lot of people throw their hands up and sit it out. Often we go to the wrong polling site and don't know when the polls close. The system isn't random, it's layered on purpose. If I was king for the day, I would make it that voting starts at midnight, East Coast time, and stops at 11:59 p.m., East Coast time. This gives the entire world, for the military, the same time to vote, and no vote is counted or predicted by time zones. I would also make it so you can vote from your phone. We have the technology. We use it to do our taxes, banking, and just about everything else. To prevent cheating, I would put the mob in charge, and if you cheat or vote more than once, Tony Soprano would show up and break your legs. At the foundation, you have primary elections. These are party elections, not national ones. This is where Republicans choose their candidate, Democrats choose theirs, and in many states you have to pick a side to participate. That alone confuses people. You're not voting for the final winner yet. You're helping decide who even gets on the field. And in many places, that primary is often the real decision, because one party dominates the general election. Then you have the general election, which is what most people think of when they hear Election Day. This is where the final candidates face off and the broader public votes. That includes federal, state, and local offices all at once. It's the big stage, but by the time you get here, a lot of the real sorting has already happened in the primaries. Special elections happen when something unexpected occurs. Someone resigns, passes away, or leaves office early. Instead of waiting for the next regular cycle, a quick election is called to fill the gap. These usually have low turnout, which means a small number of voters can make a big decision. These can be dangerous because they often go unnoticed. In some places, campaigns are highly organized, reaching out directly to party members and even providing transportation to the polls. When a county is divided 50-50, those small numbers can have lasting consequences. Now layer in the timing of federal offices, and this is where it starts to feel like a calendar puzzle. Members of the United States House of Representatives are elected every 2 years. That's by design. It was meant to keep them close to the people, constantly accountable, always campaigning, always listening, because their job can be taken away quickly. Today, it feels more like they are always fundraising. United States senators serve 6-year staggered terms. Only about a third of them are up for election every 2 years. That creates stability. The House reacts quickly to the public. The Senate slows things down. The president, through the United States Electoral College process, is elected every 4 years. That gives enough time to lead, but not enough time to become untouchable. Just a side rant. I have had friends calling people Nazis because they think someone voted for Trump. This is not only impolite, it's ignorant. At the end of the day, your vote helps determine how the Electoral College is decided, not your family member or neighbor. Put it all together, and what you have is a system designed with tension built into it. Fast-moving parts, slow-moving parts, and emergency mechanisms. It's not supposed to be simple. It's supposed to prevent any one group from holding power too long without being checked. Most of us are lost when it comes to local elections. One of the best movies ever made about how local politics really works isn't a civics documentary. It's the 1973 film Walking Tall, the story of McNairy County Sheriff Buford Pusser, who may be one of the greatest small-town lawmen America has ever produced. Do not get that confused with The Rock's 2004 remake, not even close. Hollywood's Walking Tall opens with a simple local story that says more about power than a presidential debate. A hometown boy walks into a crooked gambling joint, sees the house cheating, and watches a friend die for calling it out. He gets carved up for his trouble and then dragged into court when he goes back with a big stick to clean the place out. The details are movie fiction, not sworn testimony, but the gut truth of the story is why it stuck. In the film, the turning point isn't a speech in Washington, it's a county election. The old sheriff has looked the other way for so long that the casino, the brothel, bootlegging, and the backroom loan shark have become the real government. The only way for the man who was attacked to get justice was to run for sheriff himself. When he wins, the entire balance of power in that little Tennessee county flips overnight, not because the Constitution changed, but because one local office changed hands. Today, you can see Sheriff Grady Judd of Polk County, Florida, who has built a reputation as a blunt, camera-ready, tough-on-crime lawman. His folksy one-liners and high-profile press conferences have made him a hero to many and a lightning rod for critics who see him as more showman than sheriff. In the meantime, crime in his county has dropped about 25%. I even saw one of my old soldiers on his YouTube channel one night. He had walked into a sting operation and was trying to pick up 14-year-old, and he got 10 years in jail. Strip away the varnish and you're left with a lesson every voter should understand. In many states, the sheriff isn't some deputy with a cowboy hat. He's a separately elected constitutional officer who controls patrol priorities, the jail, a big chunk of the county budget, and, in practice, who actually goes to jail and who just gets a warning. The district attorney is elected too and decides which cases get charged, which get plea bargained into nothing, and which never see the inside of a courtroom. Judges sit on top of that stack, setting bail, signing off on deals, and deciding how much pain the system is willing to dish out for any given crime. Why this matters? These are the decision-makers responsible for keeping violent and property crime in check. When they do their job, your neighborhood is safer, your insurance company sees less risk, and the county commission doesn't have to raise taxes just to feed the inmates. If they look the other way or aim the law at their enemies instead of actual criminals, you don't need a mob movie to understand what happens next. You'll feel it when you call 911 when crime hits your neighborhood, when you watch someone get attacked, when you pay your property bill, and when you see who actually gets hauled into court. And in those moments when help is minutes away and danger is seconds away, you're reminded of a simple truth. You are your own first line of defense, and if you have to defend yourself or your family, these are the people who decide whether you are the victim or the defendant. That's your first lesson. Power in America does not start at the top, it starts at the ground level. National elections set direction, but they are distant. You don't feel most of it when you walk out your front door. State elections get closer. They determine taxes, education standards, policing laws, and infrastructure. These decisions start to show up in your paycheck, your schools, and your roads. If you want to know which races matter most, ask one simple question. Who can make a decision tomorrow that changes my life next week? That usually points straight to your sheriff, who controls law enforcement priorities and sets the tone for crime and enforcement. It leads you to your county commission or city council, where zoning, taxes, and development decisions shape your everyday reality. It also brings you to your school board, which determines what gets taught, how disciplinary issues are handled, and how the next generation thinks and acts. Your county and city mayors are the leaders who quietly run budgets, shape growth, and set long-term direction. These are not headline races, these are consequence races. Somewhere along the way, we also ended up with a system that pushes everything into two lanes. America did not start as a strict two-party system, but over time the structure of elections, winner-take-all rules, ballot access laws, and party-controlled primaries all pushed politics into two dominant camps, Republican and Democrat. If you don't fit neatly into one of those, you're labeled independent. Sounds good, but here's the catch. In most states, independents don't get to vote in party primaries, and primaries are often where the real decisions are made. By the time the general election arrives, the field has already been narrowed. So, while independents may represent the middle, they are often standing outside the room where the first decisions happen. Statistically, voter turnout is very low compared to the population. Many just sit out, which is your right, but when it happens en masse and you are unhappy about the next 2 to 6 years, it might have been different if you had shown up. Most campaigns want you focused on slogans, but real voters should be looking at something else entirely. Background matters. Where are they from? Do they have law enforcement experience? Are they business people and are they successful? Or are they professional politicians? Relationships matter. Who supports them? Is it developers, local groups, or long-standing political networks? Track record matters. If they have held office before, what did they actually do? And decision style matters. Do they avoid hard calls or step into them? Because at the end of the day, you are not voting for promises, you are voting for behavior. Campaigns today don't run on handshakes alone, they run on visibility. Presidential campaigns now cost $1 to $2+ billion per candidate, with total election spending reaching into the $10 to $15 billion range. Congressional races run from about $1 million to $100+ million, depending on the seat. But at the local level, campaigns often range from just $1,000 to $500,000, with only the largest cities and counties reaching into the low millions. A candidate has to spend a lot of money to get known. Social media ads, commercials, yard signs, mailers, text campaigns, and local events all compete for your attention. Those yard signs you see scattered across intersections and front yards may look small, but they add up. Campaign finance reports don't isolate them cleanly, yet estimates suggest that across the country, campaigns collectively spend hundreds of millions, and likely into the low billions of dollars, on yard signs over a 4-year cycle. Online, if you are seeing a candidate repeatedly in your feed, chances are they paid for that exposure. Modern campaigns treat paid social media as a requirement, not an option, and much of that content is not designed to inform you. It uses your algorithms to target you. If you support gay rights, you're going to get ads from your candidate that stress those positions. If you want lower taxes, you will get tax cut ads. It will feel like they are speaking directly to your heart, because they are. The system knows what will grab your attention, often through conflict, fear, or frustration, because that is what spreads. When you think about it, all of this is to win a single vote. One vote more than the other decides everything. So how do you actually learn what a candidate stands for? This is where most people quit, but it doesn't take much to get ahead of the crowd. Start with what they say by looking at their website or social media. Then at least check one outside source, a local news article or voter guide. Find one real decision if they have held office before and ask who benefited, who paid, and who was left out. Follow the money and see who is backing them. Then ask yourself one simple question: what do they really care about? If you can't answer that in 15 minutes, they haven't earned your vote yet. Most candidates at the local level do not publish polished platforms or flood the airwaves. They campaign on reputation, relationships, and a handful of carefully chosen phrases. If you want to understand what is really at stake, start by identifying your exact ballot through tools like vote411.org or your state's official election site. Then focus on the offices that directly touch your life. Finally, lean into something that still works better than any algorithm: local knowledge. Ask around, read local reporting, and listen carefully. In most communities, the truth about a candidate is not hidden. It is just not advertised. Elections should not be decided by slogans, They are decided by people who take the time to understand who is asking for power and what they are likely to do with it. At the end of the day, this isn't about Republicans or Democrats, left or right, or who shouted the loudest on your screen this week. It's about whether you are going to take the time to understand who is asking for power over your life, your money, your safety, and your future. The system was built to give that power to the people, but it only works if the people actually show up and use it. Oh, and Osama bin Laden is dead. He did not split America at first. For a moment after 9/11, Americans stood together in a way I had never seen in my lifetime. But we did not fight one 20-year war. We fought many 1- and 2-year wars back-to-back in different countries as each new general changed strategy. 2 decades later, we watched the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, families counted the cost, and America asked, for what? In a moment's notice, we left people and equipment behind, and the world watched what happened next. If we don't want our enemies' plans to be finished for them, then the one thing we cannot do is walk away from the ballot box. Because if we do, someone else will decide who holds the power. Please like, subscribe, and share this with your friends, and maybe check out Walking Tall, the original movie, all 3 parts. Thank you, Jim D. Jones.